Well, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Wandering Ukie Cheese Café. I actually had a little bit of luck today going to do my groceries early in the morning, and I'm actually going to be able to do a recipe that I wanted to do last week, which was calamari steaks. That was really hard to come by, and thankfully they did a good restock, so I am going to be doing that. But given the fact that it's also a sunny Sunday afternoon, there's no way that I couldn't not do a wander around here and then just enjoy the cityscapes before I take part in some grilling on my patio. So I have an idea of somewhere I could go, so let's get right to this. So I might have mentioned this a little while ago, like an episode or two back, but one way to tell that summer is going to be in Montreal is whenever you come to Place des Arts for the concert quarters or Quartier des Spectacles, because last time they were doing some setup around here for the stages for I think the Francophonie, and I actually forgot when I was walking around here yesterday, they did actually start, so there were some shows that were going on. And of course, security is going to be checking your bags, make sure you're not having booze around, because there are liquor booths all around to get beer, wine, and other kind of cocktails. So yeah, kind of fun. I think I'm going to want to document the Jazz Fest once more, once it does start. But this is not what I'm going to be checking out today. Yesterday I was going to Polski Piknik, that I might have highlighted before. It's the Polish festival that takes place in Montreal. And along the way, I had to go up Saint-Laurent to get somewhere, and I saw there was actually a little bit of a street festival going on. From what I could gather with the signage, it all said like the Montreal Urban Art Festival. I mean, there was some kind of arts going on, but it was definitely like a sidewalk sale of merchandise, food, and other stuff that was going on. I kind of want to pass through that today before I get to my grilling. But I guess before we do get to that, and before I decide what I want to have for a beverage, here's one suggestion. Click that subscribe button below and put the notification bell to on. That way, when a new video is ready, you'll get a pop-up on your phone that is able to be viewed. And of course, put that like button down and give it a good smacking. The more likes this channel gets, the more my videos are promoted elsewhere on YouTube. Funny, Street Fighter 2 arcade cabinet over here. It looks like it's a VR arcade, and that's like one of the things to draw you in. Probably could stop in the middle of the street and just play it. I guess that'll be it for another time. So, I am now on Saint-Laurent Boulevard. So I probably covered this before on my channel, but this, back in the day, I would say like late 19th, early 20th century, this would have been considered the main. Like, it would have been the Montreal equivalent of having a main street. Basically kind of like, well, everyone has a main street like where all the shops are. You got a big nightlife around here, cafes, bars, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I guess if you wanted to have a good callback, I'm going to put a card in the top right corner for you to watch the episode where I did a wander in minus 35-degree weather along Saint Laurent around a year and a half ago. My, how time flies. And I think I'm getting close to the festival very soon. Yeah, festival is still going on. And actually, I had to look at the date. It's happening in between June 8th up until June 18th, so it's got about another week before it's going to be wrapping things up around here. And once again, I have to point out that I just passed by Milton Street, which is pretty close to where my dad's old stomping ground was when he was first born. Well, actually, that's his second apartment. I'm telling you, now that I know about that side of the family history, I get some warm feelings when I walk around here. Give me some good times. Or at least I imagine the good times he had around here. definitely lively here, but I know that yesterday when I was walking by in the evening after the festival, it was definitely pretty packed and so full of excitement here. I was even some funny DJ stuff. I remember I was sitting down for a drink, and I think one of the tunes that came on was one of the themes from Dr. Mario, remixed I think with some other beats and some vocals. I thought, that is weird, but kind of awesome at the same time. I have something else I'm trying to track down around here that I saw. It's really just a question of, do they still have the kiosk here? Oh boy, the smell of barbecue piri-piri chicken is really starting to get to me. It's giving me flashbacks to when I used to go on sidewalk sales along Montreal Avenue, where you would have the same kind of vendors around here, and they would do these random barbecues, food kiosks to be able to serve some stuff. I know I used to get some of those freebies there. I think I got some kind of, someone's trying to wave, but little do they know it's facing me, not them. But yeah, I remember also trying bubble tea there for the first time, like way before the bubble tea phase really started to expand. There's so many of them around here now. Pretty chill music I'm hearing right now. Over here is Parc des Amériques, or the Americas Park, and they seem to have the Fringe Festival taking place around here at the same time. I'm noticing all the Saint-Ambroise parasols that are over by the patio, so already is awesome to me because I do know their beer and I enjoy them a lot. Oh, and I guess if you want, then I'm going to put a card in the top right corner for you because that could give you a little visit back when I did a trip to the Terrasse over in Saint-André for the Saint-Ambroise brewer. Basically, having my favorite New England IPA on tap, fresh from the source. Yeah, I seem to be getting to the tail end of the little Portugal area of the Plateau, and I couldn't find what I was looking for. Now, well, I guess I could tell you exactly what it was. Yesterday when I was passing by earlier in the day on the way to the festival, I did see that there was a sign and a machine around here that said free snow cones, and I thought, oh, that's kind of nice. Wanted to take part in that because it does give me a few childhood memories for a few things I remembered as a kid. Sadly, I couldn't find that thing anywhere, so maybe eventually when I do track down a snow cone, I'll be able to maybe talk a bit more about that. Oh well. Yeah, so I'm getting close to Montreal Avenue, so that means that I'm almost going to be getting to the very end of the street festival too. So as you can see, it's very lively, very nice, and it's almost making me think that this is what the F1, like the Grand Prix races are going to be like next weekend, because you get an idea, but it's going to be a lot more packed. More cars on display, sports cars. I think if you go up to Little Italy, you'll find some classic cars on display there too, but most of the action is going to be like around Crescent Street and Peel Street in downtown. And you might have people who are going to be ordering like hundreds of dollars worth of champagne, or some bottles that go for almost $1,000. Crazy thing that they're available for that much, but apparently people buy that. Man, it's like, I have $1,000 to blow. I'm going to buy some champagne.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was.
Well, I just passed by Laurier Avenue, and it looks like that the festival ends around there. So quite a nice stretch, a lot of good vendors, some people putting together some art. I've only really scratched the surface of what it was all about, so I'm sure if I come back around here again next year, then maybe I could highlight a little bit more. All I know right now is I have a good wander. It's mid-afternoon. I should probably get myself a nice beverage and consider getting the rest of my gear for my grilling today, because it's not just going to be calamari. I want to do some other stuff too. All right, so I had to make my way along to Beaubien Street East as usual. Another one of my regular stomping grounds I like to go around because, like I say, I got good memories of being around this area and explored it a lot in recent years, and I kind of like what I see. A lot of nice cafes and restaurants that I never thought would have existed back then. I'm just trying to get myself a place to get a coffee and then figure out where I'm going to get the rest of my grilling gear because it is mid-afternoon, still relatively early, but I want to make sure I'm not out too late. I do want to be home and relax and record the rest of this soon, so see where I could find one. Well, to the surprise of nobody, I ended up around the Jean Talon Market because if I was around the area, there's no way that I couldn't visit it because I just love coming here to get some of the fresh fruits and also getting all the coffee shops that are around here. I ended up at one that's what I'm pretty familiar with. It's Café aux 80, or the Four Corners. I did actually cover that back when I did my Wandering Grill for lemon butter trout last year, so it's always nice to revisit that too. And I think I have enough cards, so there's a card on the top right corner if you to watch if you'd like to revisit that part. Now, I got some fresh peaches and fresh oranges. Once again, no free samples, but I feel like in the post-COVID world that those things are a thing of the past now. What I could say too is that behind me, it's not very obvious, but it's also a juice shop slash smoothie place. And I know over the years, like I'd say in the 2000s, the 2010s, I would come here pretty frequently to go grab a smoothie. Because some places you go get a smoothie, it's going to be frozen stuff. This is always picked fresh, obviously because you are within the market, you have a whole bunch of farmers supplying you the product. So you have your fresh fruit, it's ground up, and it's just oh so great. In terms of biggest surprises I remember having, I want to say there was a fruit smoothie that I had mint in it. This is back before I really started to enjoy having mint teas. So I thought, okay, this isn't so bad at all. It's almost as refreshing as a mojito, if you're a fan of mojitos, of course. Beautiful. Well, I think I got everything I need. Maybe I'll try to find one more veggie to grill, and then I'll be heading home, and then we're going to get started on our calamari. Looking forward to that. And I'm kind of hoping it doesn't mess up either. Not bad. Yeah, I don't know what it is about my shrubs here. I keep finding beers almost like growing within them the same way that branches and leaves are going to grow out of it. I mean, I'm not going to complain because getting this kind of beer in my yard, it's amazing. I got to figure out how I could get rich off of that, like plant a beer tree and then be able to get my continuous supply of New England IPAs. So what I'm drinking over here is something from the Pit Caribou Pub. I've covered that before on the channel. And I think it was like maybe a good month and a half ago when I paid a visit again to the Pit Caribou Pub over in the Plateau. There's a few other locations around, but this seems to be a very Gaspésien style beer. I'm not sure exactly what that means. And it's a New England IPA, but it's a brand new one that's called La Fourche à Ida. This is a brand new one, and I'm not as familiar with it. I'm quite familiar with the Paradise Point New England IPA they make. This one's all brand new. It's less strong, like this is a 6.2%er. Okay, I thought I saw 6%, so it's 6.2. versus Paradise Point, which is 6.5%. So what's like a 0.3% difference? Now, and over here it's saying this beer is named after Ida Fugère, who was apparently a general store owner around a century ago. This location is a junction of Route 132 in Maria. I'm sure if I was within the region there, then it would mean something to me. But some random person that seems to own a convenience store, or actually a general store as they said, because I'm guessing that the term general store, or magasin général, as they say in French, that's something you probably find within rural Canada, rural Quebec, because around here I think convenience store, corner store, or as they say in French, dépanneur. You know, I gotta look up exactly where the term dépanneur comes from, because they find them all around over here. Some parts of suburban, or even some parts of Montreal or suburban Montreal, you'll find like a dépanneur on every single corner, like these random rural places or even residential places where you just go in, get your quick beer, cigarettes, lotteries, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't know. Maybe, again, if I was from that region, I'd understand exactly what the significance of Ida Fugère is. All I do know is this is a pretty good beer and an excellent one to enjoy in the yard before I get started on my grilling. Yep, quite nice. Fruity, hoppy, all at the same time. What more can you ask for? Ah, and Dave in the comments section is having the legendary bear juice. I'll drink to that, man. So as you could plainly see from the prep work earlier, I was going to be doing some potato wedges. I have some leftover potatoes from when I was grilling last weekend. They're still good, but instead of doing my usual baked potato, I just want to cut them up into 4 wedges, like basically put them into quarter pieces and do all 3 of them at once. And it's pretty straightforward. I pre-cooked them in the microwave once again to be able to reduce the cooking time. So it's probably going to be a very similar amount of time to do. And then what I did was I drenched it in olive oil once more, added some garlic, oregano, fresh oregano, because especially since I got so much in the garden in the back, that thing's grown into a giant monster. I want to put it to good use. So put that, and I did something I don't really do very often. I've got ground ginger in here. I like ginger a lot, and if you're making your own General Tao chicken, fresh ginger is actually one of the key ingredients to give it like a bit of a, maybe not a tang, but it's a distinct flavor here. But it's just surprising because I like it, but I don't use it very often in my cooking. It's a good scent. Ooh. And yeah, just one thing to remember, this stuff is strong. So ginger, like pickled ginger like you would get at a sushi place, this ginger tea, that's gonna be good for what ails you. It's gonna clear up whatever congestion you got, and if you're feeling like you're under the weather, this is probably like a natural remedy for it. But I digress. What I'm gonna be doing is, this is all kept aside, so it's almost going to be time to get the fire started. This is actually going to be the part that takes the longest because the calamari slash squid is going to be very straightforward, very easy to do. Why? I'll explain that afterwards, but you probably already have an idea why.
The big stuff. Who do you think you are, Mr. Big Stuff? You're never gonna get my love. Now because you wear all those fancy clothes, oh yeah, and have a big fine car, oh yes you do now. Do you think I can afford to give you my love? Oh you think you're higher than every star above, Mr. Big Stuff? Who do you think you are, Mr. Big Stuff? You're never gonna get my love. Now I know all the girls I've seen you with. I know you broke their hearts one after another now, bit by bit. You made them cry. Many poor girls cry when they tried to keep you.
So as you can see, the fire is just about burnt out, so I've closed this up, opened the top vent, and I'm letting this preheat to around 400 degrees, which is the perfect temperature to be able to cook these potato wedges, because once they're on, it's only going to take about 30 minutes tops, and it's not going to take too much longer. The only other thing I do know is, at the same time as that, my beer is all empty, and I'm going to need to have a refill if I'm going to be getting some barbecuing done. Luckily, I had another ration that was kept aside when I was doing one of my last runs to Peluso up to the Little Italy area of Rosemont. It's a brewer I know pretty well. It's from Ma Brasserie, located practically on the corner of Holt Street and Iberville Street in Rosemont. And I know their stuff pretty well. If you want, yes, I'm on card number 4, so I'm okay. I'm gonna put a card in the top right corner because it's almost a year to the day. Like it was June 24th, like Saint Jean Baptiste, that I did my visit over there. And I did a taster platter. One of the rations I had over there was this one here. A Saison that's called El Dorado. As you can see, you got gold here, so it's gonna be something, how does the legend go? Is this like Incan gold? I don't know, my only point of reference for this is the game Uncharted, the very first one where you reach El Dorado and then you got Sully saying, El goddamn Dorado. Ah, and it just exploded on me. Fuck on a stick. Yeah, 5 years later, I still know what that means. Saisons are very nice because they're very refreshing and they feel like they're good lawnmower beers, as they would say. Lawnmower beers is like a light beer you would have while you're mowing your lawn, cutting the grass, or doing some gardening, just something basic while you're in the yard. This Saison is giving me a lot of head. If Archer was here, this is where he'd be telling me, hey, phrasing. I've grown to be a huge fan of these, honestly, though, because they're light, flavorful, but not too overpowering. Not like a Triple Belge that you could find from time to time. The big problem with those is that those are like 9%. So obviously you wouldn't do a full pint. You do a taster, maybe a glass at best. Okay, so cheers to a very heady farmhouse. So far I just got to taste the foam. Yeah, pretty good. Just as good as I remember the last time I had this, and also the last time I had it over at the brewer. Oh, and perfect timing too, because with all that time wasted with too much head, I'm now able to get the grill, actually the grate, onto the barbecue, let that heat up, and then I'm going to clean up from the last one. So with those potatoes on the grill, I'm gonna need at least another 25 minutes before they're ready, which means this is a perfect time to show off how to make your calamari steaks. So here's the big question. What exactly is calamari steak? If you're like me, you're probably thinking, what the hell is that? Because you would not think it would be available. When I think calamari, I think calamari rings, because those are ones that I've actually prepared on the channel before, and yes. When my batter was taken over me, I'm thinking I'm like the thing from outer space. But I guess if you want, I have one more card left. Here's a link to the top right corner to watch when I prepared that fried calamari recipe, like probably, I think a year and a half ago, if not a little bit longer, but it's like the general range. But that's how I always remembered it. If you asked me as a kid, I thought calamari was nasty and tough, but when it's done right, it's perfectly tender and it's amazingly tasty. Which leads me to my next answer of what is calamari steak. So basically, calamari steak are these big pieces of squid that they catch, and what they do is they'll take the same meat from the body as opposed to the tentacles, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna tenderize it, like flatten it, stretch it out a bit so that it's actually gonna be a little bit easier to chew on. Now, these things are kind of hard to come by. I was trying to find all of these from the fish market, like maybe around the Jean Talon Market, because I thought out of all the places to carry it, they might, because I thought they have a huge selection. Truth is, they only had squid rings, whole squid, like small ones, maybe whole larger squid, but calamari steak, that was a little hard to come by. Luckily, if you go to Costco, you can get a pack very easily, and the beauty is that it's actually relatively affordable. I got a pack of 8 in here, and these packs come for like maybe $15 to $20 a pop. So it's actually a pretty big bargain for yourself. So what I'll do is, I'm gonna get a giant mixing bowl right here, and I'm gonna get some gloves ready over here. Now, let's open up the package. So, I don't know if you can see on camera, but this is a calamari steak. So it's definitely kind of thin. It looks like they worked some needles in here to be able to kind of poke it, stretch it, tenderize it. Oh yeah, it makes me think of tenderized steak like we used to have as a kid, because those also have those holes too, like probably mashing it, pounding it, etc. I'm kind of curious just how much meat is going to be on these things when I cook it. But that's a story for another time. What you're going to want to do first is get all of your steaks into the mixing bowl, just like so. And luckily, there's 8 of them here, so it's an even number. There. I'll just keep this aside for now. Don't worry, I'm going to clean this up afterwards. Ooh. I seem to have poked through the finger. Stupid gloves. Oh well. Next, I guess what I'm going to do is just continue with my cooking. I'm going to put on another glove, and hopefully this thing doesn't tear on me. That way, I have minimal infections at best. There, this is back on. Nothing here. So one of the recipes I found online says that for 4 calamari steaks, you're going to use 1 tablespoon of oil and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. But because I have 8 of them here, I think I'm just going to double the recipe. So what I'm going to do is I'll just put 2 tablespoons of olive oil here, just like so, right into the bowl. And then I'm going to keep this oil aside for later on, just in case I need it down the road. And then next is going to be your lemon juice. So, yeah, some people would say you could use like fresh lemon, partly to cook this, and then partly for when you're serving it. I didn't feel like picking up any lemon because I got plenty of lemon juice that needs to be used, so for all intents and purposes, this will be the same thing. Lemon is actually something that's pretty useful too, because it's a good way to help flavor the fish and help preserve it. I think one of my other experiences with lemon juice was also with working with apple crisp or like apple pie, because you know what happens. You peel an apple, you slice it, you leave it exposed to the oxygen, and then it starts to brown and kind of oxidize. What this lemon juice will do too is it'll actually prevent it, like it acts as a preservative to make sure it doesn't go brown quicker than it should. Keep that in mind if ever you're baking with apple. There. So this is all done. Then next, you're just going to need some regular salt. Shake in as much or as little as you want. And you're going to do the same thing for your pepper. If you're going to ask for measurements, don't ask me because I'm not even paying attention to it. I just saw that you only use that. And then when you're done, you just take your gloved hand. Hope the finger doesn't, poke out or break. And then you just work it in so it's all relatively tenderized. There. So once it's all coated, then you know it's going to be set to go on the grill. So that's the beauty about seafood sometimes, and especially white fish, is that it feels like the philosophy is less is more. The fewer ingredients that you have in the fish, the better it's going to taste, because you don't want it to be too busy. Okay, kind of nice. I'm sure these things are going to shrink by the time they're on the grill, but we won't worry about that until another, I would say, a little over 20 minutes now, because I have been talking quite a bit. So now with this, I'm just going to keep it aside, take this glove off, and then I'm just going to clean up myself, and then we'll be right back. Those potatoes look like they're really good right now, so I've just taken them aside. I'm going to keep them in their foil so they can still stay warm while I'm waiting to prepare my squid. So here's the trick that you need to remember when you're preparing squid, calamari, or like octopus or whatever. If you've ever had it in the restaurant before and you feel like it's very tough, you probably had a bad batch that was cooked too long. Because the thing is that when you cook calamari too long, then it becomes very tough, rubbery, and it's not going to be a very enjoyable meal for you. You really have to cook it for a short amount of time so that you still have the juices and it's still pretty tender. Obviously it's going to tenderize with the olive oil and with the lemon juice, and also because steaks are going to be tenderized in general, but you still don't want to cook them too long on the grill. Your ideal time is going to be 2 minutes per side. So what that means is that you're kind of working around the clock, taking each of your steaks, putting them down, flip them after 2 minutes, cook for another 2 minutes, and then voila, they should be good. So I have an extra hand over here that I'm going to use to apply everything and hope it goes well. So, without further ado, we're going to get started. Oh, shit. Screw it, I'm just going to use my bare hand. I'll clean myself up afterwards. Once again, I'm really curious to see how much meat I'm actually going to get on this stuff, because they look small, but I can almost guarantee that they're going to shrink once they're off the grill. There, all done here. A little lemon juice here, and then we're good to go. 2 minutes, and then we're giving it a flipping. So this is an amazing meal that I'm kind of stoked to try. The calamari looks like it's well cooked. It's at a good internal temperature, and the potatoes, they look awesome as usual. I have yet to have a potato where I'm disappointed by it. And I'm not going to go far back and think about any past failures on the channel, not counting the Monte Carlo potatoes. That's like a write-off on its own. And as for my other vegetables, I got some leftover zucchini from when I was grilling last week. They're still good, but I have to finish it now before I know they go to waste. I got olives, and if you want to know what kind of olives I got, it's these organic olives that have come from Costco, that they're imported from Sicily. I think the brand is called Asaro. Yeah, Castelvetrano green olives. So if ever you want a good quality olive, they don't have a high sodium content. It's like $10 a jar, and every time I've introduced it to somebody, the next week, they always end up going to Costco to get their own jar of olives. So it's always awesome. And something else I put together too was some avocado. Something I've been realizing when I've been getting my poke bowls is I love avocado. I love guacamole too, but I never use it in my cooking. So I thought, why not? It just feels like it's a perfect outdoor dish. But all these things are pretty, you know what it's going to be like. I think the pièce de résistance is going to be the calamari steak. Now, actually, I could just do this as well. So for the potatoes, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of salt here. And something else you could suggest with the calamari steak is you can usually have a slice of lemon to be able to squeeze over it. I don't have a lemon, so I'm just going to put a little, got tongue-tied for a second, a little bit of lemon juice on top. And you could serve it on this stuff. You could also serve it with like a mixed bean salad, and there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do with it. But my key thing is going to be to see how tender this is. So here it is, the ultimate taste test caught on camera. We are going to see if calamari steak is a success or a failure. Okay, so you know what? These taste super tender. Decent seasoning on here. And it's not too rubbery. It kind of has a very fishy taste, but in a good way. It's not like when I was talking about getting like raw tuna for a poke bowl, where if it tastes fishy, that means it's probably bad. This is just awesome. And I feel like one steak is going to be good enough for me, just because I have so much potato, so many vegetables. So it should be a satisfying meal to finish off the day. This makes me happy. I'm kind of realizing something else too. I haven't really been getting trophies in the last 2 episodes, so something's kind of off. You know, I'm not going to complain about that because that's an awesome song. I'm a bit of a B-52s fan. Okay, so what more can I say? Great meal, great beers, a fine wander when it was a bit more sunny. I cannot expect anything more. Like, this is a perfect activity to wrap up the weekend. So everyone, anyone who's still watching, thank you for watching this latest edition of the Wandering Ukie Cheese Café. So if you like what you see, just be sure to hit that subscribe button below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoy my wanders, storytelling, cooking, talk about beer, anything else that I do that's stupid and fun. Just let me know. And if you have any other ideas for future episodes, like if you know somewhere I should check out in Montreal, something I should prepare as a recipe at home, leave it in the comments section and I'm going to try to get it in one of these days. Till then, take care, happy Sunday, and happy whichever day this episode drops.